G'day cunts. Bit of a short one right here. Been noticing a bit getting around the platforms about the shenanigans of cops joining in on BLM and similar marches in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. And would you believe it, I have some thoughts. To start, I'm going to be moving forward with the given assumption that the protests, and indeed those things one could call riots, are not only understandable, but as with other historical examples, one of the few ways marginalised people can actually achieve change. If you disagree, cool. We can talk about that if you want, or you could check out the plethora of material discussing this opinion that's already out there. To be honest, that's likely to be better than anything I could fart out of my facehole anyway, but yeah, that's the position I hold, and it's going to be assumed for the rest of this video. So when it comes to cops joining these marches, opinion is a bit divided over here in Lefty Land. Some folks are seeing cops doing exactly what they want and need them to do. These folks see police acknowledging the problem and in a highly public and powerful manner. They hope that this all means both that many cops aren't that bad and that change is coming. And this is a position that I really want to believe in. Others, though, see a cynical attempt to placate an outraged public in order to bring calm and an end to the riots and protests without really doing much of anything. And this is the position that I do believe in. I mean, okay, it's hard to say it's universal. Maybe some of these police chiefs, etc., are a little pocaneles dos, but I'm troubled by the fact that this action by the police is only really likely to achieve placation and, if anything, hold back change. A great example is this picture, which, how are you going to call out police brutality when you've both got mace drawn and are generally armed to the fucking teeth? But even without this hilarious anecdote, the point is a pretty important and present one in my humble opinion. What is needed here is structural change, not just these gestures. You won't stop police brutality by showing us you're better than those who engage in thuggery and murder, whether it's true or not. You got to actually do something. Look, what is needed are things like sweeping changes to the oversight system, mandatory and constant surveillance of on-duty officers, disarming of police forces everywhere, and a clean out of the current highs of way too keen to kill fuckknuckles. But unless these police support and take actions towards such changes, marching with protesters is not only performative, but also the kind of dangerous performative that means that momentum is lost, changes don't happen, and therefore cops keep carrying out extrajudicial executions in public streets. In that case, it almost doesn't matter what the intention of the cop is, the outcome is the same, and that's real bad. In fact, it's detrimental to the whole point. Given all that, I reckon that unless and until such a thing happens, these cops should stay away of their own accord. And if they don't, well, they should be asked to leave. So yeah, there's my thoughts. I will say that it's probably a fair criticism of me right now to observe that these are not my protests. I do think it's important for everyone in the so-called Western world right now, but yeah, I don't get to make calls about who is and isn't welcome, and I get that. To finish though, I want to note one more thing, and that is the Australian condition. There's so many Indigenous deaths in custody here that they had a Royal Commission into this back in 1991, which came back with 339 recommendations. Now, we're a bee's dick away from it being 30 years since that process was finalised, and still a third of those recommendations haven't been implemented. Since 1991, we've had 400 Indigenous people die while in custody, including Tanya Day, whose death had a hand in finally convincing one state, out of many, to lift the public drunkenness law, which was indeed something that was recommended in that very same damn Royal Commission. The fact of police violence against people of colour is something playing out across the world, including here, in case anyone had any delusions around that fact. Change is needed, and it's needed everywhere. Anyway, that'll do me. See yous.